If you're all comfortable and set to go, I won't waste any more of your time.
All set.
Okay. There's a quote on your website that says, "In a better world, you'd be living in a mansion down the road from your friend Bruce Springsteen." Does something like that play on your mind at times?
Uh, I mean, I think I used to think more about it when I was younger, but I've sort of, I've had a good run. I made a lot of good music, and you know, I always tell people I know how to make the records. I don't know how to sell them. That's my problem.
You're also a teacher by trade of special needs kids,
That's
which is something you were doing way back in the early days of your music career as well. Is anywhere along the line, have you ever been bound by a dilemma of which career path to take, or have you always been able to balance the two?
Well, I quit teaching several times to play music full time. I mean, my love is really music, but the special ed stuff, the education stuff, has really enabled me to stay in the game this long because I've been able to play what I want to play, and keep a family afloat and play for my health care, which is quite expensive here in the States. I had a couple kids that needed health care. So, it is what it is. I've accepted it.
So it's financed your career in a way.
Yeah. I mean, I work with really difficult kids, and it's quite satisfying that occasionally to hear from some kid that's really going down the wrong path and say, "Hey, Mr. G, I just want you to know that you helped me, and thanks for everything." And I get those occasionally, more often than not now. As my kids that I was worked with through the years are getting older, and are getting adults, and they started saying, "Well, I'm starting to understand some of the stuff you used to tell me, like the old man stuff, the old man advice."
You,
They don't have any dads. That's their problems mostly.
yeah. Are your students aware of your rock and roll life?
Yeah. Yeah, some of them are. I mean, it goes to varying degrees. Sometimes they could care less. I work in the inner city. Rap's big, so I don't really have a lot of rock fans these days in classes. But I play guitar all the time, and the kids come into my room to sing, and we do shows. Once every 2 years, I do a show. I think we're going to try to do a Motown show this year. We did a '90s show 2 years ago, and the kids really get behind that, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Some of them like it, some could care less.
Having a full-time job, it must restrict how long and how often you can take your music on the road. Can that be frustrating at times?
Yeah, it can be frustrating, but in this day and age, sometimes I wonder if I would have been able to do it, because I got a big band. When we did tour a lot, it was quite expensive. For 6, 7 guys out on the road, and as you get older, it gets a little bit tougher to do.
Mm. Going back to your childhood, was there a lot of music in your house when you were growing up?
Yeah. I'm a coal miner. Both my mother and father's family were coal miners. My mom was Serbian, and my father's Ukrainian, and they're very ethnic. There was all kind of ethnic music in the house. Plus, my dad was a real musician. He played swing music with a saxophone, and he also had a country band, real traditional bluegrass country, Hank Williams, Jimmy Rogers type stuff. He played mandolin, guitar, and bass, and fiddle, a real good fiddle player. So there was always music constantly in my house.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to have parents that didn't say, "Oh, turn the rock music off." They liked everything. So
very
cool.
supportive. Yeah.
Yeah.
You come across as someone with a great work ethic, and I guess that probably comes from your childhood and your parents being hard workers themselves. Do you think that helps a lot in making the best music you can do?
Well, it is it is a job sometimes. It's a skill. You got to keep. I think hard work trumps. Sometimes it trumps talent.
Mm.
I play with guys. They're fantastically talented guys, but are lazy, and it always seems the guys that work harder, a little bit harder, put more into it, always pass them up somehow. So, yeah, I'm a believer in hard work, yes.
Yeah. I want to go back to the early days of the Iron City House Rockers. I don't know whether you're aware, you got a lot of airplay down here at the time of that first album.
Oh, really? No, I didn't know that.
Did you have a specific notion of the type of band that you wanted at that stage?
Well, again, growing up in Pittsburgh was, you know what AM radio is? You had AM radio. Well, all the little towns around Pittsburgh, all the neighborhoods, Pittsburgh is made up of neighborhoods. All these neighborhoods had AM radio stations. And all these stations had like really colorful disc jockeys, Magic Mike, Boss Man Porky, TL, Charlie Apple, just one after another. Town had these little stations that would play rock and roll for 4 to 5 hours a night, and go on all through the weekend. We'd start Friday night and go to Sunday, and they all played this really obscure mix of rhythm and blues, and really obscure, like almost punk music for the '60s. A Motown Stax would be considered too tame. So they played all this really obscure R&B and rock and roll. And they had these huge dance halls where everybody would come on Friday and Saturday and Sunday nights. And they would bring in these acts, like I saw Junior Walker and the All-Stars and Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs, Sam and Dave, the Rascals, Mitch Ryder and Detroit Wheels, one after another, all these little nightclubs. So I grew up like really involved in listening to all this. My range and my palette was huge because I was hearing all different type of music all the time. Mm-hmm. And there was not a lot of boundaries. It was like we played whatever they wanted to play. So when the high school bands, when everybody was started, would play the Beatles and the Stones and Chuck Berry and Wilson Pickett and Hank Williams, and Howlin' Wolf. So there was no difference between it to us, and it was product of how I grew up.
By the time of that,
I forgot what the question was.
That's fine. Look, by the time of the second album, the band was a critic's favourite. You got rave reviews in Rolling Stone and Village Voice. You must have thought you had the world at your feet at that point.
Well, yeah. I mean, going back to answering your first question, so we did know what we were doing. We had this hardcore sound. In fact, the guy who signed us from Cleveland played on a real obscure record in Pittsburgh called Mama Lucci, which you probably never heard of. And he invited us. We sent out demo tapes. And he invited us to Cleveland to meet him. And we pulled up to Cleveland, and at that time, Boz Scaggs had Silk Degrees. So Boz Scaggs was there, Irving Azoff was there, Ronnie Spector, who we idolized, growing up, Southside Johnny, all these people at this party. And they were asking me, well, did you ever hear Mama Lucci? I said, sure. I know, I was probably the only guy there that knew the song he played on. So we went back to Pittsburgh, and he gave us a budget to record. So we went back and we played a lot of this obscure R&B that was just second nature to us. So we knew what kind of sound we had. And on the second record, what made it, a cut above everything else was we had such a cast of characters. We had Mick Ronson and Ian Hunter and Steve Van Zandt, and all joining in and helping us produce and arrange this record. And so we had all these different top flight A-list musicians helping us. And by that time, with our second record, we knew a little bit more about what we were doing also. And we knew we had Pittsburgh was a rough town. It was a rough, you had to be able to, fight your way out of a bar on more nights than not when we played. So we were, we had a certain grittiness and a toughness to our music that was just inherent to the city and to the music we grew up listening to.
Mm. Do you have a personal theory on why the band didn't go on to be the major commercial success that many predicted it would be?
Well, we never had a hit record. We never got on radio, here in the States anyways. We just never had that identifiable song that would, to come on. So, that's the House Rockers. Just never one that stuck across the boards. I don't think anything even come close for us. We just couldn't get on radio.
Yeah. You've got a long-lasting friendship with Bruce Springsteen. Your careers, though, are on totally different levels of fame and fortune.
That's sure.
I imagine, though, that Bruce wouldn't be the type of guy that would flaunt his success around you and wouldn't make you feel uncomfortable. Is that pretty much how it is?
No. I mean, he's just a regular guy. If you take away all his success and everything that he's done, which is just epic in proportion. But, he'd be playing in a bar somewhere, just the same as we would. He just loves to play music.
Mm.
So, and we connect on that level. It's guy to guy. We both grew up in working class families, playing the same music here in Pittsburgh that he was playing in New Jersey, and, same age and everything. So we just bonded. It's never... With your Bruce, you never think, well, he's one of the most famous people in the world. I mean, he carries himself with a lot of dignity.
Mm. You've co-written songs with him. How would you describe him as a collaborator?
Well, he's one of the best, obviously. To write songs with Bruce Springsteen, that's like working with Dylan or McCartney. It's one of the best. It's playing with one of the best, and he's very, very adept musically. He has a really, really good feel for music, and he's a really good instrumentalist. And his ability to focus is second to none. When he zeroes in on something, it's like a laser. He just got it. So, working with him was a lot of fun. Plus, he's a really funny guy and he had a good sense of humor. So it was just a very, very casual, comfortable relationship when we worked together.
He's not known for collaborating with other songwriters a great deal, so that must give you yourself a great sense of confidence as a writer to be one of the chosen few that have been chosen to work with him.
Yeah, I think without patting myself on the back, it says something about my ability.
Yeah.
Especially when we write songs, I usually do the bulk of the lyrics on it. So, to have one of the best lyricists of all time using my lyrics is, that's a pretty cool thing.
Absolutely. You've worked with some other amazing people over the years, and you mentioned a few of them earlier, Mick Ronson, Ian Hunter, Steve Cropper, involved in your productions. For you, going into the studio with those sort of people of that caliber behind you, it must give you a great boost.
Well, we from the second record on, we were pretty confident in what we were doing. We had been battle tested. We played a lot. We knew what we were doing. We knew we could rock the house, and we felt pretty good about our playing ability. And I was writing some pretty good songs in those days. And playing with a guy like Steve Cropper, for instance, it was a real thrill because Steve was just he was one of those legendary guys. You just go, oh my God, I'm playing with Steve Cropper. It's just like, whoa. I remember the first time, and he came to Pittsburgh and hung out for a couple of days. First time I think it's ever happened with me, I picked up the guitar to show Steve something. My hands were shaking because I thought, well, I'm playing in front of Steve Cropper. And he landed up being a great guy to the point where you'd say, hey, Steve, how'd you play that lick in Hip Hugger? Down, 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 down. And show you. How'd you play 99.5 by Wilson Pickett? So it was like going to college. I picked up a lot of stuff off Steve. He's a great guy. A lot of fun to be with also. And he played with us, too. He did a couple gigs with us, so that was a lot of fun.
Wow. Talk about your songwriting. I read another interview with you where you describe yourself as a project writer, where I guess that means you write specifically for the upcoming CD or album project you've got at hand rather than stockpile a whole lot of songs. What are the best moments to sit down and write? Do you have to be in a specific frame of mind or a certain time of day?
No, you know what? I write a lot of my stuff in my car, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I drive for some reason. Just the solitude of the car, driving around, it just makes me start thinking of stuff. I do usually focus on projects. So with this last record, I had written maybe one of the reasons the record is as good as it is because I wrote so many songs for this particular record. I was going in all kind of different directions before I finally settled into what I wanted to do. But I'm not like I'm a hardworking guy, but I fight against routines. I'm not a routine guy, so it's not. I don't set like a certain time of day I'm going to write. It's basically whenever ever it hits me, and usually when I have some spare time on my hands, because I'm between working my day gig and you know recording and promoting this record and going on. I play with my band quite a lot, so it takes a while for me to work my way through a project, and I sort of have to get it out of my system. Then sooner or later, I start thinking, oh, well, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do next? And I've actually been thinking that a little bit now. So usually that spurs me to start writing.
Your son is a musician as well. Has he come to you at times for career advice as a musician? If he did, what would be the best piece of career advice you could give him?
Probably the same thing my dad told me. You got to have something else to make a living with.
Yeah.
Times get tough. But yeah, he's been wanting to play since he's been able to walk.
Mm.
And he played with Bruce Springsteen when he was like 8 years old on drums.
Wow.
So he plays with me, and he has a really, really good band called The Composure. Do you have that? I'll have to send you the single they cut, Dancing in the Dark single.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. I'll MP3 that to you when I'm done here tonight.
Oh, that'd be great. Your most recent album, let's talk about that. You went down the path of crowdfunding it through Pledge Music.
Right.
How did you find that experience?
You know what? I was sort of really, really skeptical about it when I started. And I put this record out. It's distributed by Warner Brothers Nashville. And even though we had a distribution, we knew if we wanted to get heard at all, we had to have some kind of, push behind it as far as promotion and publicity. So basically, I was advised by the people that had done this before that, I should try to pledgemusic.com. And I landed up enjoying the experience. I really did. Because I felt like I was not alone, and I'm usually a pretty solitary worker. I work on my own a lot and keep to myself a lot. But I felt like I was part of a team this time, so it was kind of fun actually.
It does really seem to be the way of the future for independent artists, doesn't it?
Well, between the internet and what we're doing now and the crowdfunding, it's a way for guys my age anyways to keep in the game. The whole thing has changed so dramatically. So it's hard to say what's going to be going on. The fact that people really don't like to buy CDs or buy the product anymore has had a big impact on the music, and probably TV and movies are probably next to go.
Yeah,
everything's going to change. Books are going, so everything's changing.
As always, there's some wonderful songs on this latest album, songs of serious social commentary and some fun songs as well, such as I Still Look Good for 60, which I love, and I believe you wrote it for Bruce.
It was his 60th birthday, and my wife Leanne said, we were talking about, what do you get the guy who has, the whole world at his fingertips, and she said, well, why don't you write a song, a song about getting old. And I had this experience about this pretty young girl come up to me, and, I was all feeling good about it. And she says, can I get an autograph? It was for her mom, oh my God. So I changed it even to make it more humorous to my grandma. And, then started thinking about, what it's like to, when you reach a certain age, people say, oh, you look good. And then it's, oh, you look good for 40. Oh, you look good for 50. And then it's, oh, you look good for 60. Ian Hunter looks good for 70. So, Mick Jagger, I guess Keith Richards, they never look good for anything.
And the kids that you're working with every day inspired a song there as well?
Well, yeah, Who Cares About the Kids is basically a composite of a couple kids I had worked with. I work with emotional distressed kids. So it was their story I was trying to tell, and when you work in special ed, like I have over the years, if you see a cerebral palsy child or a kid with Down syndrome, it automatically inspires sympathy. People want to help them, but the kids that I work with are the kids who'll come in and cuss at you and throw a book at you and swear at you and and just have these real antisocial behaviors. And, they need as much help and love as anybody, more. And, so that's the type of kids that I work with. And it's hard for a lot of people to care about those type of kids. So that's what I was trying to say in that particular song. These are kids that have it as tough as anybody does. You have to, help them, give the helping hand that they deserve.
So what would be your hopes for this latest record when it's all said and done? What would you see it like to achieve?
Well, I'm pretty happy here that you're playing it in Australia.
Yeah.
I think you're the first person I ever spoke with my whole career from Australia.
Oh, that's surprising.
I didn't even knew I was kind of surprised actually that I got your email. I thought, wow. So I would like people to hear it. I would like as many people as possible to hear it and enjoy it, and maybe get turned on to the band and buy some of our records and go back and check out our prior CDs. I think we have a pretty good body of work.
Yeah, for sure.
People to be aware of.
Outside of your music, something I know you're very proud of is your involvement with the Light of Day Foundation. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, our manager, Bob Benjamin, has who started Light of Day, has Parkinson's disease. He discovered he had Parkinson's on his 40th birthday. He had a small get-together in a bar in New Jersey, and he said, well, my next birthday, I'm going to throw a party, and I'm going to donate whatever monies I can raise to the Parkinson's Disease Foundation. So the next year came around, his first weekend in November 3rd, his birthday. The Stone Pony in Asbury Park let us have the room that night, and I called Bruce, and Bruce graciously came down and played with our band that night, and the night was a huge success. So the next year it got a little bit bigger, and it's been growing to now it's a 4-day festival in New Jersey. Actually, I'm going to play 3 nights this year. I'm going to play the Pony on Friday night, and I'm going to play the Paramount on Saturday night, and I'm going to do Songwriters by the Sea on Sunday. And it's just, it's turned into this just tremendous music festival. I think it's probably one of the better festivals now on the East Coast for, people of a certain age. It's definitely adults, the older bands, it's just a great time, and it's expanded. I just did Light of Day Canada. The guys are over in Europe now. They're doing, I think, 15 shows in 11 countries over in Europe that I can't go on because I've got my day gig. So I'm doing 3 days in New Jersey. So it's just turned into this worldwide phenomenon, and I think we're very close to either topping 2 million or close to 2 million in donations.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's
fantastic. Yeah, it's great. It's really been a labor of love, but it's a great time also. It's really just a fun weekend. I wouldn't miss it for the world now. I mean, as much as it's a great cause, it's also a great time.
Yeah. Just before I let you go, Joe, from the outside looking in, people would maybe think you might be regretful that you haven't had the fame and fortune bestowed upon you that you probably deserve. But I think you seem to be someone who's in a happy space just the same. You can't put a dollar value on the other work that you've done with the Light of Day Foundation and working with kids. You seem
Well,
to.
I like to think that there's other things you can do in life just than besides just make music. And though God knows I love to play, but so I think maybe my path wasn't cut out just to be like a world famous rock star. So now I'm a working musician who does other things, and I've come to terms with it. I'm pretty happy with it, and I've been able to stay at home all these years and not rip my family apart and by traveling like so many guys do all the time. So yeah, it's been a good run. I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm actually happy with this new record. I'll say that.
Oh, it's a fantastic piece of work, and I believe you've already got songs tucked away for the next one.
Well, you know what? I actually have another record in the can. I don't know if I'm going to put it out, but I have one done.
Oh, already recorded and everything.
I did a whole record with horns.
Oh.
I scrapped for one reason or another. Just, but I might throw a few singles out here and there. I like blues a lot. I've always thought of doing a blues record.
Mm-hmm.
Blues was really big here in Pittsburgh. We played a lot of blues when I was younger, and I always wanted to try my hand at a blues record, not like a, just like a guitar slinger thing like Stevie Ray Vaughan or so many guys do, but not just the huge guitar solo stuff, but just more of a little bit different approach to the songs. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking about doing that. I don't know if I'll, what I'm going to follow through on, and at some point, hopefully, I'll start writing again. So.
Fantastic. Hey, Joe, thanks for taking time out. Sorry about the technical issues earlier, but we got there.
Well, thank you for talking to me.
Thank you for all the wonderful music you've brought us over the years. And although you haven't got that worldwide rock star fame, you've got truckloads of respect from people all around the world. And we just love your music and hope there's plenty more to come.
Well, thanks, brother. I'm going to send you that Composure song as soon as we hang up.
Oh, that'd be great. And Bruce is going to be here in the early new year. Maybe you can hitch a ride and come down with him. We'd love to see you.
Well, yeah. Maybe I'll try to talk him into it.
Yeah.
You heard his High Hopes?
I haven't yet, but I believe it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. So there's actually a song that he said I inspired on his new record called The Wall. It's about the Vietnam Wall.
Ah, I'll check that out immediately.
All right.
Thanks again, Joe.
All right, man. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Best. Bye.